Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you're back, and as you can see here, we are going to be working on a tatting technique. And I was playing around with this because I was trying to figure out how to actually do this for needle tatting, because it is kind of like a shuttle tatting technique. I did try a couple of different ways of making this, which is an onion ring. Makes me hungry. But we are going to learn how to do this. It's pretty simple once you kind of get the gist of it. So for this technique, you're going to, of course, need your thread or yarn, your tatting needle, and some scissors. And yeah, that's really all we're going to be working with today. So what we're going to do is we are going to be working with the needle and the ball thread. Typically how we normally work needle tatting. So we're going to create a loop where our needle thread is coming off towards the right, or whichever way your dominant hand is, and looping around. So for this technique, we are going to start with just a normal ring, and you can make this a mock ring or a true ring. So I'm going to show you how to do it with a true ring. So with a true ring, we are working with the needle thread. So make sure that you have a long enough loop here to where we can actually work a true ring. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to my needle thread. And now, as you can see, this is my ball thread. I'm just going to flip my thread so that way now the ball thread is going off towards the right and the needle thread is coming towards the left. And I'm going to make a true ring. So for this ring, since this is practice, I am going to make a ring of 10 double stitches, picot, 10 double stitches. So the picot at the center of our ring is very important. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. Okay, so there's 10. We're going to create a picot. And, just kind of use your eye. Now, if you want this to really be kind of invisible, make the picot kind of small. And then we're just going to continue on making 10 double stitches. And you can even do this technique without any picots, which I did try that before, and it worked pretty good. But the picot just gives it that little extra grip that we need. You see how small my little picot is right there? And 10. So the true ring, you see how short my loop got? It uses a lot of thread. So just keep that in mind if you're using true rings for this technique. So now with true rings, all we got to do is pull it through. Just flip that around here. There we go. And there's our nice pretty true ring. Oh, I just love the way true rings look. They look so pretty. So as you can see, after you complete a true ring, our strings are a little twisted. So I'm just going to flip it like this. So that way our ball thread is coming back out towards the left. So now we are going to create basically a split chain. So for this one, we are going to make the chain or the ring slightly larger than the center ring. So for this element, we are going to do 14 double stitches. All right, so there is our 14 double stitches. So basically this is half of our next ring that we're going to work. So what we're going to do is we are going to pass our needle through our chain. So I'm going to try to hold everything together. Just pass it through. Do not make a ring. We're just making a chain. So now, as you can see what's happening, our chain is starting to curl around. So what we're going to do is we are going to join this chain to the top of our true ring that we completed where the picot's at. So what I like to do is I like to go from back to front and just pass it through like that and pull the needle thread all the way through. And this is a good opportunity to fix your chain here to how you want it. And we are not going to knot this because we're just going to continue working. So now we're going to make sure that this is pretty close to our picot. Hopefully you can see that. So you see, we just want to make sure that last double stitch is really close to that picot. And we do have opportunity to fix this, but it's better to get it right now than later. So now we're just going to continue working 14 double stitches. Now this is going to look a little weird, but it'll fix itself here in a minute. So we're going to work 14 double stitches. All right, so here is the other half of our ring, our split chain, and we're just going to simply, pass our needle through. And you see, it'll kind of start creating this weird, like, heart shape, which this is a good method to make hearts if you really wanted to. But like I said, this is where we can adjust. So what I did for my first one was I pulled it pretty tight initially. And I kind of just got everything, got all the stitches really close together and tight. And it kind of fixed that little bump. You see that bumpy is now gone. That was right here where the picot was. And now we're wrapped around our first ring. Pretty cool, right? I thought this technique was going to be way more difficult because in shuttle tatting, you actually have to create a loop and then like pass the shuttle through, which is, I don't know, a little confusing to me. So anyways, once you get that ring fixed to where it's like perfectly round, sorry, I know it's kind of hard to, my camera does not want to focus. So as you can see here, I've kind of fixed that little bumpy right there. So now we're going to join to where our chain starts. So right in the middle right here. And it doesn't have to be like exactly where it starts, but getting it pretty close makes it look way nicer. So as you can see here, I just went to the base of our true ring, pass my needle through from back to front, pull through, pull through, pull through. And this is where we can actually fix our stitches a little better, because we kind of want it looking like it's wrapping around, like we created two rings and joined them together. Here we go. And then we are going to close our ring off. So we're just simply going to do what we normally do, and we are not going to turn our work. So tie that off. So now at this point you should have something that looks like this. So let me show you my first example. This was the first one that I did, and as you can see it looks a little funky. This one came out better. So practice does make perfect. So let's go ahead and create the outer ring, and you can also add picots to this outer ring if you're going to be adding extra elements or, joining it to other things. But yeah, you can even change colors here if you wanted to and make it a multicolor ring. So once again, we're just simply going to make a larger ring to go around. So as you can see, I did not add any picots to this second ring, and it's very simple to join to it because we have a needle. So let's go ahead, and we did 14 for each section. So let's do 18 for each section. So we're going to do 18 double stitches, and feel free to add picots wherever you'd like. Just make sure you have 18 double stitches for each half. So once again, we're just going to create a chain. So just pull your needle thread all the way through. Do not make a ring. All right, and whichever way it curves, that's the way we're going to be going. So now we're just going to find where our picot is from the very first ring, which is right here. And I am just going to simply insert my hook into that ring that we made, that second one. Pull through exactly the same way. Fix my stitches here so that way they reach. There we go. You see? Now we got this. And now do not tie this off, just leave it. And we're going to complete our ring. So we're going to add 18 double stitches. So there's my 18. Once again, we're just going to pull our needle thread all the way through. We are not making any loops here. And as you can see, it's a little bumpy right there. You see that? But this is where we will fix that. So like I said, I like to kind of pull all of my stitches kind of tight and then go through and just relax them a little bit. See, and this is where the picot comes in really handy when you add a picot here, because it kind of helps hide that little bump that we get at the top here, because it sinks in just a little bit, but we can help that just a bit. Pull that just a little. Alright, so now I'm going to start moving my stitches so that way they are a little longer on either side. And like I said, this is a very customizable technique where if you want them to be spaced further apart, you just add more chains, more double stitches rather. So let's join. Hopefully you got that. Just gonna make sure everything is where we want it to be. There we go. And then we're gonna go ahead and lock this in place. The way we have to with needle tatting. And then from here, you can continue on, or if you're working a pattern that is shuttle tatting and it calls for like onion rings, then you know how to do it to convert it to needle tatting. I think that's pretty cool. From here, we can reverse our work, and I like to just add an extra knot whenever I do that. And you can continue on working a chain and making more elements and adding it to your onion ring. But here is an onion ring. Oh, look at this. It's so cute. So many possibilities, so many things that we could do with this. I am not by any means a pattern designer, so I'm interested to see if any of you guys out there are pattern designers and what y'all come up with using this technique for needle tatting. And you can just keep going with this. I mean, you could make it as big as you want, make this a center focal point for a doily or maybe a garment, a skirt, maybe. I don't know. There's so many different things we could use this for. But anyways, I hope this was informative. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask them in the comments down below, and I will do my best to answer them. And maybe somebody in the community also knows a little bit more than I do, and they can help you out too. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Happy tatting, happy crafting. I'll see you next time. Bye.